2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. It has been 4 years since Epic 7 started to tackle the competitive scene and has only been improving every year. Epic 7 World Cup showcases the best of the best competing to see who can come out on top as Epic 7 World Champion. My name is Daniel, and I've been playing Epic 7 for 3 years and have Emperor level experience. Recently I also played in prelims so I can have a good deal of experience in seeing how the meta has fanned out for recently. You can take it as a learning experience so that one day we can see you on the main stage competing against other top players as well. We're going to be analyzing one of the matches from Global today, so sit tight and enjoy the video. Now I'm only going to go over one of these matches because unfortunately if I went over most of them, or I think like 2, it's going to be fairly long, especially since I'm going to be trying to explain what the picks are. So we're going to be looking at Kukurbat's match, and the first thing to think about or consider is what type of playstyle the player plays. Kukurbat as a whole is a very flexible player and can switch up when the situation calls for it, but you're more familiar with seeing him playing standard or most likely standard play, right? But since he's very flexible, you can expect him to do some things like pivot into a more aggressive playstyle. But I don't usually see him play cleave, so I think that's probably one thing that we can also take into consideration. And if we take a look at his opponent, I don't know I think this is Zandarr. Zandarr's also a standard player who also can play a little bit aggressively. So let's go into the last round here and go over what we can see here. So look at all the pre-bans that are on the table. All the pre-bans are to the right and left side, far right and left. So we have Tenebria, Solitaria, Mort, and Tarsetti coming out from Kukurbat. Banning Mort means that he can free up counterattacks and counter us up on the table. Tarsetti meaning you can play fast units without the need of having to deal with getting your speed restricted, as well as not needing to deal with speed RNG when Tarsetti is picked. Solitaria completely blocks out the ability to play it opens up the ability to play focus units, more in particular Flan. Tenebria just shuts down like turn 2 players if you're trying to play slow. And as for Zandarr, Para, and Luna are just openers, and you can see as we go down the list of what he banned, he was just banning out whatever was the next OP opener. And of course, whatever units they played last round is banned out, so that really doesn't have any relevance in terms of why they did it. But you know, you're not allowed to use these picks in this round. So with all the bans on the table and their new pre-bans being Arunca Renak and also FCC Abyssal Yufine being one of Kukurbat's highly played units, so he's taking that off the table, as well as Abyssal Yufine in general being a really good anti-aggressive unit, anti-cleave unit. So if Zandarr wants to speed up, he's going to have an easier time due to the fact that Abyssal Yufine is up. But he got rid of the other very strong mitigation knight, which is Fallen Cecilia, so he's trying to cut off options for Kukurbat as a turn 2 player. Arunca and Renak are just super strong in this meta, so Kukurbat, seeing that they were opening, he probably just completely got rid of it. And getting rid of the most OP knight, SEC, he decides to take the other one, which is Ilanav. Ona does a lot of things with her being able to cut off penetration units, as well as just being a very solid DPS. And also she's such a really good neutral pick that you can pivot from any point in the draft while even having her in your draft, which is why she's such a really good first pick. We'll skim a little bit ahead, and you see that Kukurbat responds with Urban Shadow Shoe. Urban Shadow Shoe is really good into Ilanav being an HP bruiser. Picking Rat as an injury unit completely shuts down Ilanav, and whoever wins in the 1v1 will always be Rat. And then he decides to take off the next OP unit, which is Litica, who is still open. Litica is very good into Ilanav, having a restrict, so Ilanav cannot push, and having the ability to push her back if if the like RNG or like combat readiness bar calls for it, so he can just completely push back his mitigation knight and just win for free. So you see, and just like I had predicted, because of the fact he had banned off Abyssal Euphine in this round, it completely opens up the option so he can speed up and go into a cleave, because he won't get shut down by something like an Abyssal Euphine. And he just completely speeds up, and he takes Zeal as a book, as well as taking Zeal means that his opponent can't take Zeal, because if he picks Ran with Zeal open, that means that all Kukurbat needs to do is take Zeal and his Ran is shut down. So he takes Zeal, so that way he can't get counterpicked with it, as well as it gives him a buck so that he can soul burn on Rand for a defense break. So at this point in the draft, Kukurbat has two options here. Since the Zeal is on 2, he has the ability to race to Ran because of the fact that Zeal can get banned out, but if he does it from this point in the draft, he does not know what Zandarr is going to pick in his 4-5, and as well as this plan can completely get flopped over if you get outsped in that. So Kukurbat's two only options is to speed up or to slow down, with speeding up is way more risky in the tournament format when you're on their last round, so his better option would of course be to tank down. So we'll skim a little bit ahead once again, and he responds with an Albedo into a young Senya. This is an extremely strong pick here, because with the Ran being in the 3rd slot, Albedo into young Senya means that Ran is not allowed to rip his skill 3, because if he rips his skill 3, he will proc young Senya. Meaning he gets, Kukurbat gets full tempo, full like punishment value off of it, because there's no way cleave units can survive an Albedo plus Senya combo. The pop damage will kill it. So if Zandarr lets this through, he's forced to not use one of his powerful skills in his deck in order to wipe his opponent. So let's see how Zandarr responds here. So he responds Teiyu Draco because he picked Rin on 3, there's no way he can pivot out of it, he needs to commit. So he decides to go Teiyu Draco, which are both combo units that are really good with Zeal. Unfortunately, Ran is not really good with Teiyu. So if Kukurbat decides to ban off the Zeal, the Teiyu no longer has a combo pick to help him. So Teiyu becomes a little bit useless. If he chooses to ban Jacko, then he has Book plus Teiyu, so if his Teiyu is fast enough, I think he just soul burns on it and he may end up having a good chance of winning off of that. But either way, Kukurbat's best bans will probably be either Zeal or Jacko here. Basically banning Zeal to cut off his Teiyu, or banning Jacko here to, well probably not, you can't leave Teiyu in there. It's probably Teiyu. It's either Zeal to get off his book and ban off his combo pick, or get rid of it's probably Zeal. I don't see there's any other out, because if he leaves Teiyu in there, that, and with Jacko, right, Jacko can proc off the Ran and this thing can still burn. Like, the best bet is get rid of this, because if you leave Teiyu Jacko in, this is a combo. If you leave Zeal plus Jacko, that's a combo. But if you get rid of the combo opener, then these 3 are gonna struggle. And as you can see, Kukurbat just takes a Miki, which completely blows out his team. There's just no way. And you can see it. He bans off the Zeal, which bans off his combo, and Zandarr just goes for the Yenya ban, because if he wants to win, his best bet is he needs to be able to press his buttons on Ran. And the only thing that's preventing him from pressing S3 is the fact that young Senya is there. Because if Amiki doesn't do anything, he has a chance of winning. Just a small chance. But unfortunately, Zandarr gets outsped. Remember how I said if Kukurbat races, he can completely... whoever takes the first turn can practically win. But it's very risky. But it looks as if Zandarr is got speed RNG'd, or it just was not fast enough. Getting outsped here, now his Teiyu is restricted, so even if he had a pushback, he can no longer push up. Jago restricted, so even if he procs a debuff, she cannot push up. And his like cleanser, his Illinuff is all the way in the back. So it pretty much full punishes Zandarr here. And there's just nothing he can do from this point because he chose to cleave. If Kukurbat got outsped here, he would still be in a good spot because of the fact that he had a stable comp, but because Zandarr has an unstable comp, he is pretty much done here. He can't go anywhere. He is done. And you can see he has to go for it. Resistance encounter. Yeah, you just can't win from here. And that's how Kukurbat wins that match. Now, this is pretty much analyzing a turn 2 player versus a cleave. A turn 2 versus turn 2 would be a little bit more interesting, but due to how long the video length is already, I don't want it to be too long, so I'll just do a separate video for one of the other coming up matches where we can see a little bit more interesting. Because if we go look at Kukurbat's matches afterwards, he practically kind of just straight up just won by countering a ton, so I don't think there's a lot to even talk about there. But otherwise, that was Kukurbat's match. Basically breaking down how he defended against getting cleaved by Zandarr, and I'll see you guys in the next one.